All right, let's talk about a player who's now going to be entering his third season, Jaycee Horn, who is one of the real underrated players in this league, someone who really does not get the attention that is deserved. If you look at his Pro Football Focus grades from last season, you see the overall 71.4 grade is definitely a good one. Run defense, not really where he thrives, but that's okay. He's there for his coverage, and his run defense isn't a disaster either, which really, as a corner, that's all you have to be, is not a disaster. You see that the, his overall coverage, and not even his pass rush grade, both above 70, so he's done a good job at rushing the passer, done a good job at covering, which, again, for a corner, that's his job. And I do think that he is someone who has a pretty high hit rate. And, his overall PFF grade, as I mentioned, the 71.4, good enough to be the 29th rated corner in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus. Although if you look at coming out of college, the grades weren't as spectacular. I mean, technically they were about the same, but considering the fact that it's college, typically this is actually not a very good grade whatsoever. And you can see why some people were just not as high on Jaycee Horn as others were, due to the fact, 79.4 grade being his best grade, and the year before, a 69 grade. This is not spectacular. It's not a disaster either, but again, for a college player, you typically want this. I mean, honestly, ideally, you'd like it to be above 90, not, below 80, although again, I should mention that when it comes to Pro Football Focus grades for corners, does not do a perfect job at translating to the next level. For other positions, it works a lot better. And it's also worth mentioning, part of the lower grade is, it was kind of one of the things when he was coming out of college was just the competition that he's played against was insanely high. Very few corners have gone up against the competition he had gone up against. So it makes sense that he might have a little bit of a lower grade just due to, hey, when you play tougher competition, it's harder to have a higher PFF grade. But okay, let's get into the film. Let's start off with this play. This is going to be a zone coverage play, cover 3 zone, which is a lot of what the Panthers have ran with Jaycee Horn there, which is basically what what we thought Jaycee Horn could be at his best. The Panthers think have done a good job at, they made sure that if they were going to draft him, they were going to use him properly, and this is the way that Jaycee Horn, should be used. And part of, again, why he was a bit of a divisive prospect coming out of college, why some people thought he was the best corner to be drafted. Some people didn't think he should have been a first rounder. I was kind of in between those two, camps of people. But part of what people said that really liked him was, like, if he's in a scheme that works for him, he could be incredible at that specific scheme. And he has been in a scheme that works for him and has been very good in that scheme. Where one of the things I love that he does is just his awareness and how he puts himself in position to be successful. Watch how this play begins, and you see him take that immediate first step further in. He reads the play very quickly, which is a very good job, I think, by Horn. Again, getting yourself just a step in doesn't seem like a lot, but these are what the best corners in football do. Is they're not necessarily the best physical corners, although definitely, being fast, having length, that really does help. But you also have to have the, high football IQ stuff, and he definitely does. He definitely is able to move in and make plays when necessary. Now, the ball didn't go in that direction, but if it did, Horn was in position to knock it away. So these little things that he does is how he's able to be effective at the NFL level. There are little subtle things that go unnoticed throughout the course of a regular game, and to be honest, can even go unnoticed if you're watching tape itself of a specific player, but definitely can amount to a lot as the game continues. So yeah, I think it's a really important little thing that he does. But you also have stuff like this, which isn't necessarily a little thing to make sure that he covers a route that's underneath, but more so just him covering a route right here. And it's going to start off not in necessarily the best situation. So again, just to, pre-snap, set things up, there is going to be a safety deep. It sets up as though there's 2 safeties deep, but one is either going to not actually be staying deep or bite really hard on the play action. I can't really tell, but I actually think he just bit hard on the play action. But basically, Horn is going to be on an island here. Watch how when this play begins, it looks like it's a bit of a peculiar position. I mean, Horn has his hips turned towards the bottom of the screen, but the receiver is about to cut towards the top of the screen. So a lot of times when this stuff happens, you expect someone to get wide open and to be able to get a completion there. However, when he cuts back over, Horn is able to make sure he stays with him until the ball is thrown somewhere else, and then he still gets, does his best to get into the play that way. It was too far away, but he did a great job of covering the route that he was supposed to cover, which again, that's his job, covering the route you're supposed supposed to cover. So these are the kind of things that you like about Horn. And to be honest, despite the fact that he was kind of a really flashy player in college, in the NFL, it hasn't quite been as flashy. It's been a lot more of him just doing the dirty work, doing the simple stuff, finding ways to make sure he covers guys, which, hey, that's kind of what you want, right? I feel like he's become really a better player in the NFL level, if I say so myself. I think that he was, sometimes in college would make the splash plays, but then would get burned. We haven't really seen that at the NFL level. We've actually seen him be a much more consistent, high batting average guy as opposed to a high home run hitter type guy. Again, something like this is just a perfect example of him understanding his assignment right here. Understanding, he has a safety deep, right? So he has that benefit. You see the route on the screen and how it could potentially get open underneath the safety. But watch as Horn covers this. He doesn't just cover it, but he also makes sure he looks at the quarterback and is prepared to get an interception if the ball comes his way. He knows that if it's just a deep route, you're trying to burn by him, he'll get burned, but there's safety help, so who cares? And that's the only eligible receiver on that side of the field other than the halfback who, again, their linebacker's covering him. You trust that you have help down there as well. Understand your assignment, take a peek towards the quarterback, and if you can get an interception out of it, that's great. Again, didn't happen on this play, but I don't really care about what ends up happening. I care about what you did. The same reason why when a receiver gives up a catch, I don't inherently say it's a bad play by the receiver. Sometimes it was a great throw and a great catch, and the receiver had great coverage as well. Or excuse me, the corner had great coverage as well. I care about the process over the result, and that's a great process that will, as his career develops, get results. But you also have stuff like this, where it's a pretty good concept, I would say, where you're going to have two receivers running routes that are eventually going to get into Jaycee Horn's zone. One underneath, one further deep. That's the way this play works, and you typically hope that, Horn covers one of the guys, and then one of his teammates picks it up and covers somebody else. And different teams will have Horn's responsibility be different on this specific play, but that's the way the play is designed to work. Watch how when it begins, Horn covers kind of the more underneath route, but this play is working. There is a receiver open down the field, and against most corners, this is just an easy completion, but this is where I think this is what separates the good from the great players. The good players, the good corners, cover the guy they're supposed to cover. The great ones find a way to cover multiple guys and find a way to, when they're covering someone, but the ball goes somewhere else, still finding a way to impact that play and get an interception. And as you see, Horn is going to then peel further deep, and the throw could have been a bit higher as well, but you know what? You got to take advantage of the breaks that come your way, and he did a great job of putting himself in position to be able to get that interception. Bummer he slipped at the end, could have had a pick six, but you know what? He'll take it. The Panthers will take it. So yeah, I think Horn's been a real key impact player in the Carolina Panthers when he's been healthy, which, got hurt first season. But I do think that he matters a lot, and having this kind of shutdown corner, I think really helps out that defense and was a huge reason why the defense was, good last year, and why the team, came a lot closer than they probably should have given their quarterback carousel to making the playoffs last season. With decent quarterback play, they probably do make the playoffs in a weak division. And hey, now you got Bryce Young. He should hopefully at least give you decent quarterback play, and who knows, maybe they could make the postseason this year. It wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world, and Jaycee Horn is a huge reason why that could happen. At least that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.